She walked into my life like a scene from a movie. Sleek, confident, and glowing like trouble wrapped in perfume. I met her at a gallery downtown. She wore red. I remember that detail because it didn't just stand out, it burned itself into my memory. She looked me straight in the eyes, smiled like she already knew me, and said, "You look like someone who knows what they want." And right then, I thought I'd found someone rare, smart, mysterious, deep. But I had no idea. She wasn't just my girlfriend. She was a professional con artist, wanted in 3 states, and I was just her next mark. My name's Jake. I'm a software developer, not the type who usually gets caught in a web of lies, theft, and criminal investigations. But when you fall for a con artist, it doesn't matter how smart you are. It only matters how blind love can make you. From day one, she was perfect. Too perfect. Her name, or at least the one she gave me, was Sienna. She had this backstory about working as a freelance art curator, always flying between LA, Seattle, and Chicago. That should have been a red flag. But I didn't question it. Why would I? She'd always have little artifacts to drop. Instagram stories from airports, designer luggage, it all checked out. But the first crack came 6 weeks in. She asked to borrow my car. Not unusual, except she was gone for 5 hours, and the odometer showed she'd driven nearly 300 miles. When I asked her about it, she said she went to scout a private auction in Sacramento. I let it go. Love makes you trust what you shouldn't. But that wasn't the worst part. A few days later, I noticed something weird with my credit card. A charge from a boutique in Nevada, $1,450. I never went to Nevada. When I asked Sienna, she shrugged and said, "Oh, that's probably from when we stopped in Reno last weekend, remember? But we never went to Reno." And yet, I let it slide again. I told myself maybe I forgot. Maybe I was being paranoid. Then came the day everything shattered. It was a Saturday morning. She was still asleep when I got a call from a blocked number. Normally, I ignore those. But something told me to answer. The voice on the line was deep, serious, and all business. "Is this Jacob Miller?" I said yes. The man paused, then added, "This is Detective Harrington from the Chicago Police Department. I need to ask you a few questions about a woman named Sienna Monroe. Do you know her?" My stomach dropped. I stepped outside so she wouldn't hear. I asked, "Why? What's going on?" The detective didn't hesitate. "Sir, that woman is wanted in connection with a series of high-value cons and identity thefts across Illinois, Washington, and California. We believe she may be currently residing with you. Is that correct?" My entire body froze. I didn't respond right away. My ears were ringing. My brain couldn't compute what I was hearing. Sienna? My Sienna? Of number. It had to be a mistake. I told him I'd have to call him back. Then I walked back into the apartment, watched her peacefully sleeping, hair draped over my pillow, and for a second, I hated myself because part of me didn't care if it was true. That's how deep she had her hooks in me. But something darker started to rise in me too. A slow burning need to know the truth. And if she'd been lying to me, I wasn't going to just walk away. I was going to find out who she really was, and why she chose me. Because something told me this wasn't random. I didn't sleep that night. I lay beside her, heart pounding, thoughts racing. Every memory started playing in reverse. The trips she planned, the stories she told, the way she never let me meet her friends. All of it suddenly felt constructed. And yet, when she opened her eyes that morning, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "Good morning, babe," I almost believed none of it was real. Almost. But I wasn't going to ask questions directly, not yet. I needed proof. So, while she was in the shower, I went to her purse. I knew it was wrong. I'd never gone through anyone's things before. But I told myself, if she was who they said she was, then nothing about our relationship was real to begin with. Inside her wallet was a driver's license. California. Name: Sienna Monroe. So far, so good. But something felt off the plastic. Felt thinner than usual. I held it under the light. The photo was slightly misaligned, not obvious unless you were looking. I took a photo of it and put it back exactly as I found it. Then I checked her passport in the drawer. Same name, but this time, a different birth date, just one digit off. That's when the sick feeling really started. I left the apartment that afternoon, claiming I had a client meeting. Instead, I drove to the local police station. I asked for Detective Harrington. They put me through. I need to know everything you have on her, I said, and I need to know what danger I'm in. He didn't give me much, but what he did say was enough to make my blood run cold. She's not just a small-time con, he told me. She's part of a crew. They run romance scams, high-end art fraud, identity theft, and financial laundering. We've been tracking her for 18 months. 3 aliases we know of, 2 open warrants, and you? You're the first person to ever call us back. I asked him what I should do. He said to keep her close. Don't confront her. Don't let her know I knew. The FBI is coordinating with us, he said. If we can get her to lead us to her contacts, we can take the whole network down. But if she finds out, she'll vanish, and you'll never see her again or your money. I hung up, head spinning. I went back home. She was in the kitchen making dinner. You okay? She asked. You look pale. I smiled, tried to play it off. Just a rough meeting. I'm good. But inside, I was dying. The next few days were torture. I watched her every move. She had a second phone she thought I didn't notice. She'd step out on the balcony to talk in hushed tones. She always locked her laptop. I started taking photos, notes, times, dates. I made copies of her IDs. And then, one night, I followed her. She said she was going to meet a gallery owner, but instead, she drove to a luxury hotel and met with a man in a gray suit who handed her a briefcase. I watched from a distance, heart in my throat. She didn't notice me. When she left, I followed her car. She didn't go home. She went to a storage facility out near the industrial district. I waited, watched her punch in a code. Unit 431. She came out 5 minutes later. No briefcase. She left. That night, I called the detective and gave him everything. The unit number, the man's description, the photos. He asked me one question. Are you ready to let us move in? I hesitated. What does that mean for her? I asked. It means, he said slowly, that the woman you thought you loved will be arrested, and everything you believed about your relationship will be put under a microscope. Are you ready for that? I paused, then said, yes. But I wasn't, not even close. The next morning felt unreal. I woke up next to her for what I knew would be the last time. She stretched, smiled at me, said, I had the weirdest dream last night. You were hiding something from me. I forced a laugh. Maybe it's the other way around, I muttered under my breath. She didn't catch it, or maybe she did, and she was already 10 steps ahead of me like always. By noon, the plan was in motion. The FBI had eyes on the storage unit. Unmarked cars were parked a block from our building. I was supposed to keep her calm, normal, unbothered, until they were ready. But just after 2 p.m., she got a text. I watched her face drain of color. She grabbed her phone, stood up, and said, Hey, I need to run out for a second. Emergency with a client. My heart stopped. If she walked out that door, I knew we might never see her again. So I stood in her way. What's wrong? I asked. Let me help. Her eyes narrowed. Her tone sharpened. Jake, move. That's when I heard the sound. Boots on the stairs. Doors opening. Voices shouting, FBI, stay where you are. She froze. For a second, I saw the real her. Not scared. Not shocked. Calculating. Her eyes darted toward the fire escape. Her hand tightened around her phone. She was planning her next move, but there was no move to make. Within seconds, the door burst open. Agents swarmed in, guns drawn. She was on the floor in a matter of moments, hands behind her back, cuffed, silent. She didn't even look at me. Not once. They read her rights. She didn't resist. And as they led her out, she only said one thing cold and calm. "You really thought you were special." That hit harder than the whole arrest. Because for a while, I did. I thought I meant something to her. I thought maybe I was different from the others she conned. But in that moment, I realized I was just another job. A paycheck. A means to an end. And it broke me. Later, the agents found over $600,000 in fake artwork, stolen identity documents, forged contracts, and encrypted drives in that storage unit. She wasn't just working alone. She was part of a criminal network with ties across the country. Over the next few weeks, I was questioned repeatedly. I handed over everything, the texts, emails, photos. They cleared me of involvement, but not of guilt, because for months, I had been helping her without knowing it. I let her use my car, my Wi-Fi, my credit cards. I was the idiot who handed a thief the keys to his entire life. The trial was long, brutal. I sat in the back of the courtroom the day she testified. She never once looked my way. The prosecution played at all my bank records, the surveillance, even a love letter she'd written me that, in hindsight, was pure manipulation. She got 8 years, maybe more, depending on further charges. And me? I got a pile of debt, trust issues I'll carry for life, and one last message. A week after her sentencing, I received an envelope. No return address. Inside was a single photo. It was me and her smiling, standing on a beach we'd visited 6 months earlier. On the back she'd written, "Some lies are sweeter than truth. S." I stared at that photo for hours, wondering if, even for a moment, she had meant it. Wondering if any part of her had ever been real. And then I burned it. Because the truth is, she wasn't just my girlfriend. She was a con artist, a professional, and I was the perfect target. But not anymore. Because the next time someone like her walks into my life, I'll see them for what they really are. A mask, a trick, a performance, and I won't fall for it again.